Hello everyone, welcome back to Keepin It Real with Nick. I want to say that we are going live on Facebook and YouTube right from the Disability Channel right here in our studios. So don't be alarmed that there might be some people walking around and all that, so don't hesitate that there's noise. So just watch and keep complimenting on our Facebook page as well. And I want to say thank you to Frank Limpa and his Champ Engineering and Champ Mechanicals for supporting and sponsoring Keeping It Real with Nick and the Disability Channel. Also to Chris Studer, who and his team for supporting and sponsoring the Disability Channel. And so let's keep it real. So, Paul Dobbin, my guest Paul Dobbin here, is the Vice President of Trigon. So let's keep it real with Paul Dobbin.
Well, thank you for having me on today, Nick. It's a pleasure and an honor.
It is. It's an honor to have you here today. And thanks for coming on. So let's keep it real. So Paul Dobbin, you are the Vice President of Trigon, Construction Management. Can you tell me and our viewers a bit about your beginnings and your business life?
Well, Nick, this is my 43rd year in the business, 44th year in the business. I started out as a carpenter's apprentice and worked my way up from a carpenter's apprentice to a carpenter, to a site super, to eventually own my own company, which I'm a partner in Trigon Construction Management.
Really?
Company's been in business since 1997. Pretty proud to have over 100 employees. We build tenant office space here in the Toronto office, which I run. Yeah. And in our head office in Woodstock, we build all of the Good Life Fitness clubs across Canada, as well as some nursing homes and some other facilities. Yeah.
Well, good. That is really good to know that. Thanks, Paul. I understand that you used to work at Dobbin Brown.
I did, and I worked there with your
father.
Your father,
yep.
One of your other uncles, a couple of your other uncles, your sister and brother, my son. It was a bit of a family affair at Dobbin Brown.
It was. How did that came about, and how long were you there for before Trigon?
I was at Dobbin Brown for about 7 years, 8 years before I left and started the Trigon operation. They were great years, good company to work for. It was fun to work with all my family. Exciting projects, and that company's really growing over the years. So, so it was a great place to work, great place to be mentored, and learned a lot from the people that worked there at the same time as I did too.
Yep. And I just heard that the U.S. has bought out Dobbin Brown.
Yeah, a large company in the U.S. has bought them so they can enter the market here in Canada. Our market's growing like crazy. You only have to look downtown to see tower cranes on every corner and office buildings being built throughout the city. Probably the last 4 or 5 years have been very, very busy in our industry, and certainly the next 4 or 5 look to be just as busy. With all the new construction, so yeah.
Yeah, that is actually, that's true. There's a lot of construction everywhere.
Yep.
I heard that you were in a high school band.
Oh, geez, yes, I was in a high school band.
Yes, you were. And what instrument did you play?
I'm a drummer, still am a drummer. Yeah. Started playing drums when I was 10 years old, and when I got to high school, I was never a great drummer, but I was a good drummer, and so played in the orchestra, played in the stage band, played in a jazz band that we started in high school with couple of guys that went on to be great musicians. John McLeod, the trumpet player, has won, I think, 6 Junos. So he was a really great musician. But, you know, I was just so-so. I really enjoyed it, still enjoy it today, as you know.
You do?
I still enjoy playing.
You also enjoy Jimmy Buffett.
I enjoy Jimmy Buffett. I'm a parrot head.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yep. Got that bit of an island theme in my background for, I was in Jamaica the day that I got the call you were born.
Yes, you did.
So that I come by it honestly, the reggae roots and the Jimmy Buffett theme.
And it had many toys over the years too.
Toys? Well, I've had a few boats and bikes and buses and things. Yeah, I mean, you know.
Yeah.
I am trying to be the guy who dies with the most toys and then therefore wins, as they say.
True. And you were my swim coach too.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of coaching at Variety Village for 10 years. Great 10 years.
It was our great 10 years.
It would. At the end of it, we had a great trip to Bogota, Colombia for the South American Special Olympic Games.
Did.
That was quite an experience. I'll never forget that. And you know, the thing that I took away from coaching you and the other athletes at the Special Olympics was, you know, for every hour I put in, I got 10 hours of payback. You know. You did. Socially and, you know, internally and so on. It was great.
What did you learn from that experience?
That's a good question. That, you know, people are people, athletes are athletes, and everybody wants to compete. But the thing that I took away from that was the amount of support that Special Olympic athletes give to each other. Yeah. You would remember when we were in Bogota, and you know, Narissa, right, and her sister, and you know, trying to, you know, she would competing in the 400-meter freestyle. And she was the last person to finish, but the 20 athletes that swam the race and were out of the water were all at her lane waiting for her, cheering her on. 4,000 people in the stands cheering her on. So the support, you know, the support group between athletes was amazing, and it was quite an experience.
But I also still remember how you came up with Nicola.
You want me to tell that story here? Because it's a great story.
Yes, go ahead.
So everybody knows the candy drop Ricola. Yep. And so the coaches were only allowed on the pool deck at the time that their athlete was in the water. So I had to sit up in the stands while you were in between races, and I took it upon myself to hide behind the columns in the venue and yell out, Nikolai. Yeah. And you'd look up and you couldn't find me, but then it grew into something that was quite unique because all of the spectators started to help me, and the Colombian TV channel tracked us down, and it became a national cheer. We would say Canada, they would say Colombia, so it was quite something. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. we made the newspaper, Nick. Yes, we did. And we did make the newspaper. Yeah. And that was a lot of fun, too. Mm-hmm. I understand that you're in a band, and that band goes on the road and many different venues. Can you share some insight on that? So probably over 20 years ago now, myself and a few other guys, musicians that are involved in their own companies, got together, your dad included, and we started to play in somebody's warehouse. And when we got 20 songs together, somebody was having a party, so we said we'd play that party. And then that's morphed, evolved into, we play fundraisers now. We've played a few breast cancer fundraisers. We've played a few fundraisers for your acting troupe. Yeah, you have. And, you know, nobody gets paid. It's a case of, you know, we're all musicians, have been all our lives. We love the music. We love performing. So we look for venues where we can supply our band for free, and the cause, whatever that cause might be, gets the benefit of ticket sales and money and so on. So we just love to perform, like, you know, a bit like yourself. You're a bit of a performer. I'm also a performer too. I go everywhere. Exactly. Just like you do. Yeah. So you are a father of 2. And what is it for you to have a godson with Down syndrome? Well, Nick, as you know, it's a case of, you know, I have a background. My oldest brother is physically and developmentally challenged, Joe. I'm his guardian now that his parents have passed, or my parents have passed, and I was well prepared. I think, you know, in your parents' eyes, when you were born and they decided they were, you know, they asked me to be their godfather, and of course, you know, I won't say it was a challenge, because we've had a lot of fun together. We had cottages side by side. We did. We spent a lot of time together, probably more time than most uncles and nephews would spend together over the years, right? True. And I've learned, just like I said when it came to coaching the Special Olympics, I learned as much from you as I learned from those other athletes, and it even helped me prepare for my brother as once my parents passed, right? So I come by it honestly. Was it hard for you and Joe? You know, that's a good question, because my brother was never really lived with me when he was young. He was in Huronia, where you've done a play about Huronia. He was in Huronia for almost 30 years. As a kid, when I would go to boys' camp up in that area, I would actually try to see him as we walked. We'd walk by the fence into Aurelia to go to the ice cream shop, and I'd try to spot him, can I see my brother through the crowd there? I visited him a fair bit, you know, with my mother. I was prepared for it by my mother, and certainly, Did you have any role models growing up? And what inspired you most about them? That's a good question. For me, Muhammad Ali was probably my hero as a kid. And for a couple of reasons. Number one, he just stood up for what he believed in. Right at the time, he didn't want to go to war, stood up for that. And I had the honor, I guess, for lack of a better word, in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final in 2006 in Detroit. I went to the Game 7, Detroit and Pittsburgh, and Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, which is Joe Louis was a boxer. And between the first and second period, at the end of the first period, they announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for a special guest, Muhammad Ali." The entire arena stood up and applauded for the entire intermission. So, and was that a lot of fun? It was a lot of fun. It was great to see him, and throughout his life, he was a fighter in the ring and a fighter out of the ring, and that kind of made an impression on me as a young kid. And Paul, you are not only a successful, well-respected vice president of Trigon Construction Management, but a godfather and uncle to me as well. What are your words of wisdom for all godfathers who are uncles when dealing with a godson who are nephews with documentable disability? I think you have to be as open as you can. For a lot of people at the time, that situation arises, they're uncomfortable, they're unsure, they have doubts, but the reality is, it's an honor. It's we have almost a 34-year history. We've had a lot of fun together. I've learned as much from you as I hope that you've learned from me. Yeah. The challenge, and that's probably the wrong word, but the opportunity is probably the better word. Yes. To get involved and learn something. Everybody, you're never too old to learn. You go to school every day. I tell my grandsons now, I call them at the end of the night, what did you learn today in school? Well, I learn every day. And so, through you and through being associated with you in Special Olympics, I've learned so much. So you have. Yeah. And that's a good thing. Yep. And we we kibitz a bit. We push each other a bit. You know, me. We have a bit of fun, right?
We do.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
you were also a swimmer once before, right?
Pardon me?
I
was a swimmer, and that's why. So you know how we got involved in the Special Olympics was swimming, at least at that discipline. I was a competitive swimmer as a young kid at Broadview YMCA from when I was probably 9 right through to high school. Mm-hmm. And when you wanted to get into a physical activity, we went to Variety Village.
We did.
And we wanted to join the swim team, and at the time they didn't have any room on the team. It was full because they didn't have any coaches, enough coaches.
Yeah.
So I said, well, look, I was a competitive swimmer. I was a hockey coach, so I can teach kids to swim, and away we went. 10 years later, we went to Bogota.
Yes, you did. And you were also a hockey player yourself.
I still play hockey, sadly enough. Not very well and not very fast, but I've been playing hockey all my life, and you know, as you know, I go end of April. I go to a tournament in Florida with a bunch of other old timers, hockey players from Czechoslovakia, Sweden, Canada, the U.S., and we have a great time for a week in Florida playing hockey. Yeah.
True. And how much do you like hockey?
Well, I'm a Canadian, so you know it's in your roots. You know, it started early. I'm up. It's funny. I'm at the hockey rink on weekends now at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. or 10 with my 2 grandsons, who are on the ice every weekend. So, you know, and I still play summer and winter hockey myself. So, yeah.
How did you get involved with hockey?
Well, all my friends played hockey when I was a kid. Came from a single-parent family. My mother had 5. There was 5 of us at home. All my friends played hockey, so I wanted to play hockey. So, you know, she was scraped her nickels and dimes together and got me some equipment, and off I went to play with my friends. It started there.
That's good, because hockey is in all of us.
Well,
but not all of us.
I think the it's our national. Well, lacrosse is our national sport, but you know, hockey is very similar to that, and a lot of hockey players play lacrosse in the summer because it's very similar game tactics and so on.
And speaking of the lacrosse, that my sister's boyfriend plays that lacrosse. He
does. He's a professional lacrosse player with Denver. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. And he's down there right now.
Yeah.
And my parents are going there this weekend.
Yeah.
To see them.
Very good.
And they come back next Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, I want to say thank you to Paul Dobbin for coming on to the channel today and keeping it real with Nick. And thanks to you guys out there for watching. Keep following us here at the Disability Channel and on YouTube and Facebook and other social media networks. And thank you for watching Keeping It with Nick. That's also on those networks too. So please subscribe and subscribe to the channel. And also, thanks for watching and have a great weekend. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Nick.
Thanks for having you for coming on, Paul.
Pleasure.